finding out that I have ADHD made me understand that I have a different capacity. So much of the people pleasing just like completely disappeared. And I'm just like, hello world, this is me. I can sit in that tension of being misunderstood because I know that a lot of people don't understand neurodivergence. I have this freedom to just be more of who God has made me, and it's been exciting. It's been a little experiment in a way, instead of doing quiet time the same exact way every single day and thinking that's consistency. Because my brain is always novelty seeking, I would do quiet time differently each day, but I would always do quiet time. Welcome to the Christian Woman's Journey to Healing and Identity in Christ. Here we break free from shame, striving, and self-doubt to walk in the freedom and intimacy with God that we were always meant to have. Hi, I'm Melissa Chan, and I am a Christian emotional healing coach with a PhD in developmental psychology. And y'all know I got my trusty co-host, Jasmine Barcia. I do have some bittersweet news. So this is our last episode together for this season. Jasmine is in a season where there's just a lot that she's been called to. And so we found that it's probably best for her to tend to those things that are on her plate. But I just want to say, oh no, I don't want to cry. This was not planned.
I'm like, I didn't know what you were going to say.
Okay. Get ourselves together. No, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on this journey with me. I know that when we started, like even when this idea came up, there was a bit apprehension of like, well, I don't know if I can commit, or I don't know how to do this, right? And even for me, I didn't have everything planned out. I didn't know what it was going to look like. But I think regardless, we both made that commitment. We're like, okay, we're just going to see how it goes. You've shown me so much grace in the process as I was dealing with ADHD stuff and just the stress of learning all these things. And I'm just so appreciative and so glad that I was able to do this with you.
Yeah. Can I say something too?
I guess.
I know she's introing the episode and I'm like, but I have to say something too.
I don't make my makeup run.
I remember telling you, I was like, we're going to be different. We didn't know the timeline.
Yeah.
We knew there was a start and there was a finish, you know? I feel like we're both different. Like there's been like a change in both of us, and very like subtle but like mighty and powerful ways, you know? And so I also wanted to say thank you, because I came to you like in a very like high alert, vulnerable, bracing for contact, like full of fear, full of doubt, spiraling in my mind, and I felt like you helped navigate that with me in many different ways. So I wanted to say thank you too.
Okay, already we're going back to our like first episode with the waterworks. Yeah, it's been a joy doing this, and I don't know what we have in store in the future for what the podcast is going to look like, but I am just very grateful that Jasmine has been able to be a part of this. You already know that we don't show up as women who have it all together. Clearly, we're like less than 1 minute or a couple of minutes into the episode, and we're already crying or fighting to not cry. We are actually healing in real time and sharing vulnerably along the way. We're talking real emotions,
real healing, and the real Jesus. We had to get it.
Yeah, she got it. If you didn't get it the last episode, I would be like, nope.
Fire.
She's done. Jokes aside, let me just ask y'all. Have you ever, on January 1st, started very ambitiously this Bible in 1 year plan, right? It's like... You already know where this is going, right? You start the Bible 1 year plan. You're gung-ho about it. Maybe for the first week. Maybe you even last 3 weeks. Like, dang. And then by that third week, you're like, yeah, no, I'm done reading through Leviticus. I don't. And then, of course, the shame cycle happens. You're like, oh, man, I try every time and I mean well every time, but I just can't get through it. Especially when you get through the names, the genealogy. It's like, no, all these names look the same. I don't know if you relate to that. If you do, raise your hand because we both have gone through that. The reason why I bring this up is because people who struggle with ADHD, and this goes out to those who are officially diagnosed, but also those who aren't officially diagnosed but go through these particular struggles. When it comes to ADHD, it poses a lot of challenges for engaging in consistent spiritual practices. It doesn't mean that we can't. It just might look a little different. So today I'm on the hot seat. Jasmine was the other time when we talked about OCD, but today it's me. I'm going to share about my personal story of ADHD and how that has affected my spiritual walk and how God has navigated me through that.
I was gonna be like, "Mwahaha, I'm on the mic. I'm gonna be interviewing."
Fun, great. I'm so happy.
No, I'm honestly very happy that we get to talk about this topic today. I think we both have like such a heart for the neurodivergent community and those who are of the faith, those that are diagnosed, and those who are not diagnosed. And I remember like talking to you about it a couple months ago when I was really just trying to figure out like, am I neurodivergent? Do I have PTSD? Do I have OCD? What do I have? I have something's up with my brain. I realized there were not a lot of resources out there when it comes to like bridging faith and neurodivergence. So I'm so excited. And so yeah, I would love to hear more about ADHD and your walk of faith and just your story about getting your diagnosis and what that meant for you. I know that's a loaded question, but we can break it down a little bit more.
If you've been following along in previous episodes, you've probably heard me talk about getting diagnosed this year with ADHD. It has been a roller coaster of emotions. At first, it was very difficult because I think there was just all this grieving of all the masking that I was doing and realizing that the shame and the guilt and the pressure and just the criticism, self-criticism, it wasn't because I was doing anything wrong. It was just because my brain's wired differently. But I couldn't receive God's grace because I didn't know that. It's interesting, but I think that this diagnosis has actually been an answered prayer. Something that I would pray to God all the time because I felt like something was wrong. I didn't know what it was. And I would actually, during prayer time, like grab my head, crying, be like, God, what's wrong with my brain? Like, what's going on? I can't do anything properly. And I'm trying so hard. So this year was finally like this culmination of all that. I felt finally free to receive God's grace. And now it's been a journey of understanding how to walk my Christian walk with the way that God has made me.
For those that don't know, can you expand on like what masking is? Then take us on the journey of like what your walk with God looked prior to your diagnosis and how God has used that, like you said, like it was actually a relief for you and how it's been after post-diagnosis.
Yeah. Before that, let me tell you what ADHD is.
Oh, yeah.
Because I certainly didn't even really know what it was prior to getting diagnosed. I mean, a lot of you probably have this similar understanding of ADHD. When I think ADHD, I think of that dog from Up. Squirrel, like getting easily distracted. And that's how we typically joke around about it, you know, like, oh, that's my ADHD. I didn't realize that it's so much more than inattention. There's also different types of ADHD. There's ADHD hyperactive, what we typically think of, like the little boy that's bouncing off the walls, can't sit still, can't pay attention, or struggle with that. Or there's also ADHD inattention, which is what I've been diagnosed with. And this is actually more common amongst females. A lot of our disorganization isn't necessarily outward, it's inward. It's the brain fog. It's our thoughts just jumbled up, but we also do a better job of masking, which I'll get to in just a bit. So with ADHD and neurodivergence in general, our brains are just wired differently, almost like a computer. it takes up so much RAM to do very simple tasks like pressing the start button. Task initiation is very difficult. It takes me a very, very long time to rev up the engine. Think about like starting your car and making it run. For most people, they can just get in the car, start it, and go, right? That's the neurotypical brain. But for the ADHD brain, it's like, oh, it's not, the engine isn't dying. I'm trying to start it over and over again, and it makes that noise. And it could be like that for a very long time until I'm able to get up and do something. I always tell people, before I even understood my ADHD, I'm like, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion.
Like law of inertia.
Yeah. It was the best way to describe me, because when I try to get started on something, it's really difficult, and I think a lot of students struggle with this, like procrastination. That's one of the things that people with ADHD may be prone to. I know for me, it's been procrastination galore. So basically all of the executive functioning stuff is very difficult to do. Executive functioning is like decision making, emotional regulation, prioritization. And the thing is, for neurotypical brains, people just automatically just do things. For people with ADHD, like there isn't that automation. It's almost like I'm relearning a task every single time. Today, actually, I hadn't driven quite a while, like maybe a little over a week, because I've been working from home. I almost forgot, like, okay, what do I need to do first? Oh, I need to put the key in I need to do the seat. So like, and even driving, it felt different.
Yeah.
I almost, not that I forgot how to drive, I eventually like snapped back into it, but it just felt weird. There can even be a lot of forgetfulness. We struggle with object permanence, which basically out of sight, out of mind. It can even be like within my view, but I'm not perceiving it. Just to tell a quick story of how this played out. The most recent experience I can think of, I was going to Trader Joe's just to buy bagels. Like I needed bagels for sure, and I had a list of other things that I could get. So I'm telling myself, rehearsing the list in my mind as I'm driving, and I'm like, okay, Melissa, you're gonna get bagels, you're gonna get avocados, you're gonna get blah blah blah, like all these things. I'm like, okay, good, got the bags. Like I'm narrating to myself the different steps and what I'm doing. So tell me why
you forgot the bagels, huh?
Tell me why. I walk into Trader Joe's, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoosh.
What was I here for?
I'm like, oh, where am I? I'm in Trader Joe's. Ooh, look at these snacks. Ooh, look at this fruit. Let's get some fruit. Oh, this is a good deal. And so I'm like grabbing all these things. And guess what I walked out with?
Everything but your list.
No, a boyfriend. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, girl, what?
No.
I need to go to Trader Joe's with you.
I'm kidding. Go to Trader Joe's, guys. Not sponsored.
There's cute cashiers and baggers.
They strike up a conversation, and one thing led to another. No, but you're absolutely right. I left with everything but the bagel, and I don't even mean the seasoning from Trader Joe's. So walking into Trader Joe's, I was very intentional. I did all the prep work, but as soon as I entered in, I even forgot that I had a list. That's the thing. Like people are like, oh, just use like Post-its or just make a list. It's like, yeah, I've been trying, but you forget that you even have a list in the first place. Anyhow, all this to say that our brain wiring is different.
Yeah.
And things that are automatic for a neurotypical brain, it's not automatic for a neurodivergent brain. And that poses a lot of issues.
We are laughing about it, but it's actually not funny when you're in it,
Oh, no, not at all.
It's not funny when you're in it. It's not funny when it affects your daily living or the ways that you show up in different areas of your life. Like, we can joke about it because it's like, we got to make light of it somehow, and we learn to have humor with it. But when you're in the thick of it, there's so much that comes up for the person that is struggling. That's why we thought it was important to talk about it today, because we were like, people that are not diagnosed and there are people that are diagnosed, and how are they navigating their faith?
Yeah.
And what are the struggles that they are going through, and how can we bring just a topic of freedom. And freedom is going to look different.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean like you're going to get rid of your ADHD.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I mean?
I don't think we even should get rid of our ADHD. This is how God has wired our brain.
And there's beauty in the ADHD brain. There's so much. There's creativity. Like, you're more sensitive to your surroundings. There's this highlight of empathy, you know? And, And so, yeah.
And
so
you mentioned masking earlier.
Oh, yes.
So
Please tell us.
Now that came back to my brain. So masking, I think typically people think masking is like basically withholding information, right? So instead of showing what you're feeling inside, maybe you're upset, you smile, right? But ADHD masking is so much more than that. ADHD masking is ignoring your nervous system, ignoring what your body's telling you. I do this all the time at my job. I'm in front of my students and lecturing all day, and I have to turn it on, you know? Even when inside I'm feeling anxious and jittery and my body is just overwhelmed. Sometimes I'll be shaking even when I'm lecturing, but I try to ignore it because I'm like, well, I can't break down right now. I'm in front of my students. I can't engage in my like stimming, which is things that we do to help relieve a lot of the anxiety that we feel. Some of my stimming actions may look a little weird to other people. So I would only stim when I'm in the comfort of my own home. Some of the things I would do is just like really like rub my face aggressively, or I might even like hit my head sometimes because I'm so overwhelmed. I would just burst into tears and just really intensely crying. It's really, really hard to be true to my nervous system when so much of the world and the church is made for neurotypical people.
I don't know that the spaces that we have in our church communities like really give atypical brains the opportunity to be able to unmask. I've never seen it.
And I think part of the reason why is because a lot of people don't understand that stimming is helpful.
It is.
Or assumptions are made.
Like attention grabbing or...
Right. Or just being disruptive. You know, hey, we're all praying. Like, why are you getting up and jumping around? Like calm down. You're distracting, you know. There's this like pressure to conform to the rest of the group because this is the norm, and what is needed for me could be a distraction for the rest of the group.
And it's so crazy because the masking originates from that external pressure to conform.
Yeah, I can't expect the world to always accommodate me, and I can't expect myself to continually deny my nervous system. So there has to be this middle ground, and a lot of my journey now is understanding what is that middle ground.
Yeah.
I think in terms of spiritual practices in particular, before I found out about ADHD, some of the things I would engage in were kind of like what I led off with, the Bible in 1 year and feeling immense guilt and shame for not being able to follow through and not even lasting for very long to begin with when I'm praying. Maybe someone asked me for prayer and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm on it. So then I go and I pray, and then mid-sentence, I lose my train of thought, which happens all the time. And then it takes me a while to get back to what I was praying. Consistency. That's the main thing. We struggle a lot with consistency, or at least I did. With ADHD, we're always seeking dopamine, novelty. So consistency is almost like the enemy of novelty. You're doing the same thing all the time. For the ADHD brain, it's hard to focus on the same thing. I would start doing inductive Bible studies in my quiet time, and maybe I would be doing it for the first month because it's exciting and interesting. And then by the second month, it's like, I don't want to do it this way anymore. It's so tiring, you know? Or even within that first month when I'm super intense about inductive Bible study, I would go down rabbit holes. And I mean like deep rabbit holes. Like I'd be reading the first 2 verses and I'm like, ooh, I wonder what the original Greek says on this. And so I'll look that up. And then I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. I wonder what the context is. Let's look up the cultural context. Ooh, let's look up like all this and that. And oh, I see that this is related to this other passage. Like, let me look at that. Oh, let's look up the original Hebrew. And so I can do that for almost like 12 hours, you know? Yeah. The thing about ADHD is while we do get easily distracted, we also enter into hyperfocus modes. It's beautiful if it's done in a healthy way. It's where we basically lock in. And for myself, what that feels like is I become so focused, like laser focused on this one thing. I lose track of time. I lose like any grounding that I have with reality. I don't know how to explain it. It's not quite out of body experience, but it's almost like blacking out in a way because I don't even understand or know that time has passed. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's only been an hour. And then I look at my watch and it's like, oh, it's been 12 hours. I have not peed the entire day. I have not eaten. I have not taken my dog out for a walk. And all of those like bodily sensations, the hunger, the like needing to pee so badly, all of that like hits you at once. Once you're like out of that hyper focus mode.
You're having all these like you're operating in all of these different ways and you don't have a diagnosis, so like what were you thinking? Like what were you thinking about yourself? Like what were the lies that were coming up that you didn't even know were lies, but things that you struggled with, even just the way that you saw yourself?
I mean, the main emotions that came up were shame and guilt. I would have these high standards for myself because these standards were based off of what other people were telling me and my own understanding of what spiritual maturity looks like and what a quote unquote good Christian should do, right? Christians, we need to engage in spiritual disciplines, spiritual practices. That's part of how we can grow our relationship with God. We have to know him through his word and we have to speak to him through prayer, right? But the thing is, I was so rigid in my thinking that it had to look a certain way. And this was based upon what I was observing other Christians doing, whether that was on Pinterest and Instagram or like amongst my friend group and community. There would be a push for certain things like going to Bible studies consistently or waking up first thing in the morning and doing very early Devo time, which, girl,
some people can do it. Some people's brains does not work.
Yeah. I was telling Jasmine earlier that my brain doesn't come online until very late in the evening. And so around like maybe any time between 6 p.m. to even like 10 p.m. That's when my brain is like, we're awake. Let's start working.
She's awake right now, y'all.
I am. Can you tell?
I love it. I love it.
I was not that way this morning. But yeah, so it's like what I was saying earlier. It takes a while for me to rev up. And by the time I'm like fully awake, it's like, oh, actually, I need to go to bed because I have work, have responsibilities. So that also makes it hard as well.
What kind of like sparked up the journey to getting a diagnosis for ADHD? Like, how do you feel like God was in the midst of that?
Yeah. I feel like even in how I'm answering these questions, there's ADHD like written all over it because I would go down like describing this one thing and then forget what your question was. So before I answer this question, let me go back to what you originally asked.
What did I ask?
Healing in real time, guys.
I hope I make you laugh.
You were asking the thoughts, the lies that would come up.
Oh, yes.
So, because I was comparing myself a lot to either what other people are doing or even just the standard that I thought that all of us as Christians should be like performing at, even though I was trying so hard and I couldn't get there, it would make me feel like I was a failure. No matter how hard I tried, I just simply not only can't get there and can't do enough, but maybe it's because I don't love God as much as I think. That was the thing that I was so afraid of. And I would repent all the time. Like, God, I'm so sorry. I didn't spend time with you today. It's because of the time blindness. I thought that I spent time with you, but I was actually remembering spending time with you from yesterday, because I can't keep track of time or days. I would always be apologizing to God and just feeling like I was a lost case.
Do you feel like that strained your relationship with God?
In some ways. I think it did keep me humble. That's the good thing about it. It really highlighted my neediness for God. If anything, it did allow me to draw closer to him in the ways that I would cry out to God, but it kept me from receiving God's grace.
Because you were in a constant spiral of like wanting to meet a certain standard. So now you're seeing all these things coming up, they're repetitive. Was there a moment where you felt like I might have ADHD? Like how did you cross that bridge?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting story. I never thought that I would have had ADHD. I think I kind of like joked around about it only because I would just get distracted now and again, but that was based upon my limited understanding of ADHD. I was under the impression that ADHD means you're bouncing off the walls and fidgeting and, can't sit still. So I was like, nope, that's not me. I'm not impatient. I can wait all day, it's fine. I can pay attention to people and conversations. It didn't even occur to me. But through all the like praying and asking God, what is wrong with my brain? And at this time, I was also finding out that I had aphantasia, the inability to visualize things in my mind's eye. So I was praying from this place of like, there's something wrong. Like I can't do this. I can't visualize things and I can't keep track of time. Like what is wrong with me? Now, earlier this year, as I was talking to God about these struggles, because my ADHD symptoms actually got worse this year. Everything that I was doing to mask, not knowing that I was masking, it no longer worked. What actually happened was almost as if the volume of my sensory overload was just like shot up. I felt like every noise was just assaulting my ears. I felt really dizzy. I felt like I was gonna faint. And these aren't like super loud noises to the typical person, but I would feel so overwhelmed and my heart would be racing. I remember my resting heart rate was 130 or higher. Like this is not normal. And so I would talk to God about it and I would cry and be like, the things that I used to be able to do, I just can't do it right now. What's wrong? And God gave me the word ADHD. I was like, I'm probably just making this up. There's no way. And I would tell that to God, like, no, ADHD is usually this, and I'm not like that. God kept on giving me that word, ADHD. And so finally I was like, okay, I'll go get assessed. And even that whole journey took such a long time. You walked through that with me. Yeah. But eventually I was seen by a psychiatrist and got officially diagnosed and learned that I have ADHD in spades. Like I scored so high on the ADHD scale, being the overachiever that I am. I didn't realize that all of what I was going through would culminate into this. But I think that God telling me that I have ADHD was such an answered prayer because now I can receive more of God's grace.
It's like you understand the framework of the way that you work and the way that your mind works. So it's like everything that you were going against and trying to fight, and like it felt like a huge battle. It almost feels like redirection.
Yeah.
Like I can go a different way now. What seemed like issues it's not an issue, it's an opportunity to do things differently.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there was a huge relief for you, right?
Not at first. There was a lot of grief, like I explained earlier. There was even just some shame initially. I'm like, I can't do things the same way that a neurotypical person can. And I struggle with things that neurotypical people don't. So I saw it from this like deficit model. Eventually though, there was this shift as I kept on talking to God about it, being like, I don't know why you even brought this up. Like, how is this even helpful to know that I have ADHD? Aside from, taking medication, God was saying you don't need to compare yourself anymore to a certain standard. I've made made you different. I wired you differently. Different doesn't mean bad. Different just means different. And so since the diagnosis, it's just been learning, okay, how do I function best? What are some of the spiritual practices that I can engage in and tweak it a little bit so that it works with my brain wiring?
I know we jumped quite a bit, in our train of thought.
Yeah, typical.
It works for the episode, I think. But just so that we could recap, you didn't know you had ADHD. You had all of these spiritual disciplines that you were trying to execute and do. And then you're realizing certain things were just so difficult. That was causing you, one, to have feelings of shame and guilt with, who you are as a woman of God. What does that mean about your love and your maturity in Christ? Where would you say you are now in your ADHD journey, and how does your walk with God look like now?
There has been so much more freedom. I think a lot of this also crosses over overcoming people pleasing. Once I found out I had ADHD, I was already coming out of people pleasing. And I think finding out that I have ADHD, it made me understand that I have a different set of expectations or standards for myself and capacity. So much of the people pleasing just completely disappeared. And I'm just hello world, this is me. And I'm okay with, people not understanding. I can sit in that tension of being misunderstood because I know that a lot of people don't understand neurodivergence. I have this freedom to just be more of who God has made me. And it's been exciting. It's been kind of a little experiment in a way of seeing what does resonate with me. So some examples would be instead of doing quiet time the same exact way every single day and thinking that's consistency, and that is one way for myself, because my brain is always novelty seeking. I would do quiet time differently each day, but I would always do quiet time. So maybe one day I'm doing a more intense study because my energy levels are good. Other days when my energy level just plummets, I wake up and it already feels like I've got hit by a semi truck, On those days I would just sit with God and set my alarm for maybe 10 minutes and just be God, I want to spend time with you. I come with very little energy, but I need your presence. If there's something you want to speak to me, then please speak. Holy Spirit, help me to be sensitive to you so I know what God is speaking. If there's something you want to teach me, if there's a verse you want to bring to mind, do that. I'm open to it. Whatever it is that you want to say, I'm not coming here with an agenda. I just need to be with you. And then sometimes God doesn't speak anything and I just sit with him for those 10 minutes, but I can feel his presence. And then I go about my day, or I'm commuting and I'm praying, talking to God, or I'm listening to a Christian podcast episode. Just, different ways every single time. Maybe it's meditating on one verse, and I would converse with the Holy Spirit about that one verse the entire day and even look for opportunities to apply that verse. Sometimes it's through interacting with my students, I think it's just being intentional in setting my mind on Christ, and it doesn't have to look like this long Bible study necessarily. I would do that back in the day, but I wasn't always encountering God through it.
Sorry, I'm looking at you and I think it brings emotions because I've seen you walk when you didn't know what was going on to now, and to see the fruit of that freedom brings a lot of joy into my heart, Yeah. You get to be who God already saw you to be. You get to show up in the room as he sees you.
Yeah.
And that's just so beautiful because it's you don't have to hide yourself and you don't have to do things a certain way because it pleases X, Y, and Z person.
Yeah.
But you get to show up in the room the way that God already sees you to be. And so it's just so beautiful to see. And I know the struggle was real.
It is very real.
And even getting here was not an easy road. What if there's someone out there that is saying I don't know if I have ADHD, but I can really relate to your story, Melissa, and I've actually asked the Lord if there's something wrong with me, you know? What would you tell that person?
There's so much, but I think one of the main things is that it's beautiful the way that God has made you. God has made you different, and that's a good thing. The church needs all the different body parts. You don't have to conform to how things are done by other people. You just have to lean in deeper into your intimate relationship with God, ask for discernment, just really lean in to hear the voice of God to direct you on what that walk should look like. There is freedom waiting for you in that. A lot of like letting go of these expectations that have been imposed upon you externally, expectations that you impose upon yourself, letting go of those lies of like my struggles mean something about me, like being a failure, not being able to do all these different things. Instead, it's just like, okay, well, let's pivot. What does God want me to learn here? How does God want to work through this? How does God want to grow me in this? This isn't something that is impossible for me to do because I have a God of the impossible, right? Yeah. So I just want to encourage you, if you can relate to this, whether you are actually diagnosed or just have been struggling or suspect that you have ADHD, it's not something to be ashamed of. There's just been so much joy and so much freedom in being able to just come into who I am, and I'm still learning. So if you want maybe more tangible solutions, I do understand that ADHD is still a struggle. It still is for me. Just a few suggestions could be trying to associate a spiritual practice with something that you already do. So maybe you drink coffee every single day. So as the cup of coffee is brewing, you can then be reading through a Bible verse, looking at the verse of the day, and just praying as you're waiting for the coffee to be done. I think that helps a lot with people who struggle with ADHD because we're attaching it to something that we're already doing. So then we're forming this association. It just becomes embedded into this routine. Once you get bored of that particular spiritual discipline, it's okay to shift. It's okay to shift into another way to connect with God. In fact, it's almost exciting. Every day I'm like, I don't know how we're going to connect to God today, but I get to. Like, this is fun, you know? So yeah, like look for ways that really resonate with you. Just remember, what's the heart of all of this? What's the heart of spiritual practices and spiritual disciplines? It's not to checklist all this stuff and be like, yeah, I'm the best Christian ever, you know? It's to connect with God, to grow in your understanding of Him, and to deepen your relationship with Him, right? So as long as that's being accomplished somehow, every single day you are growing in your relationship with God, that's what matters. I mean, that's a little snippet of my ADHD journey. It hasn't been easy, but it's been an exciting wild ride, which is perfect for the ADHD brain. I hope that in listening to this, if you do struggle with these things, it's given you this encouragement and spurred you on to seek, well, how does God want you to interact with Him? And if you don't have ADHD or don't struggle with these things, I hope that this has brought some awareness to different brain wiring and how you can, you know, not jump to the conclusion about someone's spiritual walk because they're not engaging in certain practices the same way that you are. I think there needs to be more of that awareness and grace and empathy given to other people who maybe are on the outskirts of Christian community. I know that with ADHD and just really navigating this journey, there can be a flood of emotions that come up. I know for me that was the case. And with ADHD, we also tend to feel things very intensely. So if you struggle with being able to process emotions in a healthy way, maybe you shut down because it's so overwhelming and you're so ashamed of even feeling very intense emotions. Or maybe you allow your emotions free reign and you spiral out of control and then you feel bad about that. If that sounds like you, I created a free 3-day mini course just for you. You can sign up for that. It'll be in the show notes description, a link to that. Thank you so much for joining us on our very last episode together.
Yes. Okay, I'm coming close. So we can say goodbye together.
Oh, am I slapping your face?
It's okay. Are we going to say the thing together?
Oh, yeah. But do it in the mic.
Oh. I wish I had elastic lips. Okay, ready?
We're talking
real emotions,
real healing, and the real Jesus. Keep it real, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Not a moment goes unseen. Not a moment goes unseen.